Ladies and gentlemen, Cobra Kai Season 6 Part 2 is back with this batch of 5 episodes in the 6th and final season. And now I can say after rewatching it like 3 times, I absolutely loved it. And it definitely got better on rewatch. My first time watching it, I remember not loving the earlier episodes of this batch, like 7, 8. But after rewatching, I don't know why, I just like it a lot better. I mean, there still are problems with those earlier episodes. I feel like the structure that they put out this season really is a reason why I didn't like it. Obviously, this season is split into 3 different parts. 5 episodes in each part, so I felt like the first episode coming back was explaining everything, recapping everything that kind of happened in the previous batch of episodes, the first 5 of season 6. I'm like, it's still the same season, it's not a different season, so that was just a little bit annoying, especially because part 1 ended like with so much intensity, and it kind of just like was like, all right, let's recap everything in case you forgot, which was a little bit weird. I just think the format that Netflix did for the season is just still not a great idea, and it ruins a lot of the pacing. But besides the point, I am like the biggest Cobra Kai fan ever. I strongly believe that. My dad flew down from Maryland to Florida to watch this season with me because we watched every season since season 3 together at 3 a.m. So obviously I am a huge fan of the show. I feel like I and a bunch of my friends, I love it more than most people. I can get past some of those negative parts of the season because I just love this show so much and it means so much to me. But like I said, there are some problems to the season, so I'll start out with those problems I have with this season before I get into everything I loved, which is a lot of this season. Also, spoiler alert, if you haven't seen the season, click off this video, come back when you've seen it. So here's my first con. I think some of the parts, some of the characters were just handled too silly. There's too much comedy, I feel like, in the earlier episodes of this part, especially with the character of Chosen. I really didn't like his reintroduction into this season. He was drunk, he's sad that he saw a guy at Kimiko's house, or at least that's how it seems, and he just went on this drunk bender. It just seems so silly. It seems like they're just not taking this badass character seriously. He's just like the butt of the joke. I was hoping that wouldn't happen the rest of the season. They did kind of fall off with that. It was really only lasted that 1 episode, but I think it was just way too silly, way too much comedy stuff in the earlier episodes. It didn't really feel like Cobra Kai at some parts. Some of the comedy definitely still does work. The comedy that works, like with Johnny, Dimitri and Eli, that works, but I think the thing with Chosen was just a little bit much, but like I said, it does drop off as the season goes on. And some characters just make really bad decisions where it's like you just can't look past it. Really stupid decisions, especially Dimitri. He's just so annoying this part. He had a nice 3-season stretch of not being an annoying character, and he's coming back to his roots. He's being really annoying. He's making dumb decisions. He's acting like an asshole. He's unlikable. He's not contributing to the tournament even. He's even saying, maybe we should leave early. It's like, what? Why are you even here? Shouldn't have been on the team anyway, but that's another conversation. But even characters like Robbie making these side bets, betting their rooms, cheating on Tori, it just seems just to make more drama into the show, but it's kind of out of character for in a lot of the cases. Also, I wasn't a huge fan of how they handled Kreese and Tori, who I think have been like some of the most interesting characters in the show. I love what they did with Tori in part 1. She was definitely the most interesting character in part 1, and the thing with her mother was heartbreaking, but you kind of forget that her mother even died. There's barely any mention of it. It doesn't play into really how she's fighting. They just kind of drop off on it. Kreese is just, he's becoming annoying. He says, well, like every other sentence. Kreese and Tori just don't have that bond that is so special about their relationship that they've had in previous seasons. That's just not really there this season. It's absent. We get like bits and pieces, but, they don't really have that connection this season, which is, I think, part of the reason why Tori went back to Cobra Kai. And that whole Kenny and Anthony thing back in the Valley, I just think was like the worst part of this season. It wasn't terrible. It's just like, I'd rather focus on the tournament. Obviously they had to wrap that storyline up. They needed to get Kenny to Barcelona, but I feel like we could have done quicker and in a better way. Some episodes, like I said, they're poorly paced, especially episode 8. I don't think that's a great paced episode at all. This Miyagi stuff, obviously, of Daniel finding out stuff about Miyagi, that's not the brightest. Obviously the storyline is not over yet, so I shouldn't really be judging it completely, but I'm not a huge fan of where it's going right now. It seems a little bit disrespectful to the Miyagi character, and I'm just starting to think, like, what's even the point of putting this in besides to give Daniel conflict? You're ruining the character, and that cool flashback was sick, or that dream sequence with Miyagi fighting Daniel was sick, and then they used a CGI Pat Morita, who played Mr. Miyagi, it didn't look great, but also I think it's a little disrespectful doing that to a passed away actor, especially, you know, you have problems in The Flash with them doing that to Christopher Reeve. It's like the same thing here. I don't think they needed to do that. But obviously that storyline's not finished. It could have a much better ending. I think it will be wrapped up a lot better in the next part. But anyway, those were my cons with the season. Let's get on to the pros. First off, the fights this season are so incredibly intense and just look amazing. It's some of the best action, some of the best fights we've gotten in this whole show. I mean, the Seikai Taikai is the world tournament. It should feel like a world tournament. It definitely does. I love the different creative, you know, fights they do in this tournament. It's not just a normal, you know, first to 3 point to win. Nah, there's tag teams, there's fighting on these, you know, high platforms. You can just feel the intensity. And I love, you know, that Miyagi-Do and Cobra Kai, they're not the best dojos here. There are better dojos there. I'm glad it's not just them, you know, sweeping through it all. They have to get past these other dojos, and I think that was great. This new dojo, the Iron Dragons, insane. Like, I love how they got real fighters in real life to play these guys. You have Zara Malik, who's played by a real world champion. She was awesome. And you have Axel, who's just an absolute unit, and Sensei Wolf. Like, these guys are just great additions to the show. You can see that in their fights. And, you know, they have great build up to the fights to make it even more intense. And, you know, I think all the kids really get a time to shine in this tournament. You got Miguel just kicking ass the whole way through, 2v1ing. And then you have Robbie, like, coming in clutch when it matters. Like, obviously he's not locked in the beginning, but when he locks in, it's one of my favorite fights in the show. Robbie versus Kwan in that tag team match, it was amazing. But obviously at the end of the season, that huge brawl was just so crazy, so intense, and very impressive. You got all these people, background characters, fighting. It was one of the craziest and best fights we've ever seen. And I like how most of the kids this season are mature, and you know, that character development is paying off. I love how Sam responds to Tori switching sides. It's not like well, I'm gonna beat you on the mat now. It's like, you know, I respect your decision, but I'm still gonna have to beat you. Like, I thought that was very mature and not just, you know, starting to cause up more drama like how they would in the earlier seasons. And, you know, Miguel and Robbie, them, you know, maybe Miguel thinks he should be captain, but he eventually learns this season, you know, Robbie's the captain, I gotta be there for him. And Robbie's gotta learn, you know, I have to be the leader. And I love those little, you know, moral conflicts they have with each other, and it eventually pays off in the fights. And I absolutely love the locker room scene in episode 9 when they're all, you know, they're like, this is the last time we're all gonna fight together on the same side. When they all decide to lock in, it was very sweet. It's very much like season 1 vibes. And honestly, it just reminded me about why I love this show so much, and honestly brought a little tear to my eye. And of course, there's a lot of great surprises this season. Terry Silver coming back, one of my favorite characters. I was so excited to see him back. You can just feel his presence in the show, how much he brings to the show. I think he is like a must character to have in the final season. He was awesome. Thomas Ian Griffith is an amazing actor, and I just love how they brought him into the show, and I can't wait to see more. But yeah, I really had such a fun time with this season, especially those last 2 episodes were insane. The ending of this season is absolutely bonkers, and I can't wait to see how they wrap up this show. No doubt it'll be great. I love this show. Let me know what you guys thought about this whole season as a whole so far in the comments down below, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.